And take advantage. Don't submit quizzes with no questions answered, or just a couple of questions answered. Don't do this. You can answer at least half of the quiz. Of course, the other half you're going to try to fill out, you're going to try to find the right answers, and then you're going to have a grade that's going to be better than 50% of the grade. It doesn't make sense to not take advantage of it. The best option, of course, is to have 20 points. But if you don't have time to go over the video that's available on YouTube, if you don't have time, if you miss the meeting for some reason, then at least take advantage of it. Okay, moving on. And the topic of today's class is, well, the last class on Friday, we're talking about multiplication and special case products. Let's go really quick over the special case products, because it's kind of simple, right? You have case number 1, and a plus b times a minus b. You have case number 2, a plus b within parentheses exponent 2. And case 3, a minus b within parentheses exponent 2. Those 3 cases, you can go straight to the answer. You can find the answer straight away, because they are special cases and they are going to be always like this. The first case, a squared minus b. The second case, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And the third case, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. All right, that's simple. But then someone might ask, but teacher, why don't you apply FOIL and find the answer? We don't need to memorize. You are right, you don't need to memorize. You can apply FOIL. Check this out, F-O-I-L. This is going to be the first, the outer, the inner, and the last. But every time you apply FOIL, in the first case, case number 1, you will simplify outer and inner. And you're always going to have this. And the reason, one of the reasons is pretty simple. After you get to practice, after you work a lot of these special cases, you naturally are going to remember. You are naturally going to memorize it. This is one thing. And it's going to be much faster to solve these cases. And I'm going to tell you, it's very common to find these cases on questions in tests, exams, SATs, PSATs, or PERT. The tests have several questions, have many questions with these special cases, and it's going to be helpful to answer fast. But there's another thing, another reason. Let me show on the next slide. Well, we memorized, now you kind of remember. You don't need to memorize, but after practicing, you will remember. Another thing that you're going to be able to do is check this. Instead of equal, I wrote this arrow pointing to both sides. That means you can, from this multiplication, you can find that solution. But the same thing, sometimes you're going to see a polynomial like this, and you can represent as a multiplication of 2 binomials. You can go from one side to the other, or from the other side to back. The reason you will do this in the future is because you will be able to simplify division of polynomials. And don't need to be right now how to work out division of polynomials. Just remember that you can go from one side to the other, or you can reverse, you can come back, and this is going to be useful in the future when you're working with division, with fractions, polynomial, rational polynomials, rational expressions. But this is the thing that we're going to see today. There's a special name when we reverse the multiplication process. The special name is factoring. You will be factoring. You will reverse from this side to that, from this side here, back to that. Okay? Questions? Any feedback? Any complaints? Anything at all? Just let me know. Because now we are starting a new topic. It's about factoring polynomials. And we will start by finding the greatest common factor. Check this out. We have an explanation. We have a text here. I'm not going to ask you to read. I will not go over this definition. Let's go straight to the procedure. And the procedure is kind of, if you try to read and understand, I will be honest. If I don't know greatest common factor, if I didn't know this before, I would read this and read again and read again and would not understand. Just by reading, and I think it's hard to understand. You have to read and work at the same time. So that's what we're going to do. Let's read real quick and then we will work on the examples and get back to the procedure, okay? So real quick, you don't need to understand now. Step 1, identify the greatest common factor of all terms. Step 2, write each term as the product of the greatest common factor and another factor. And step 3, use the distributive property to factor out the greatest common factor. Now I'm going to work on an example and get back to this procedure here, okay? Let's work this. Letter A. Let's work on letter A. 12x cubed plus 30x squared. Oops. How do we factor out the greatest common factor? That's what the question is asking. And let's find out now. Check this. First, identify the greatest common factor. That's what we're going to do. First, identify the greatest common factor. And we will identify first from the greatest common factor from the coefficients, the numbers, and after that we will find the greatest common factor from the variables, okay? And we just have variable x here. First, let's check the numbers. We have 12, and 12 is 6 times 2, and we have 30. 30 is 6 times 5. Right? What's going to be the greatest common factor here? We have factors 6 and 2 in one term, and we have factors 6 and 5 in the other term. What is the greatest common factor? Tell me. I give you 3 seconds. If you know the answer, type here in the chat. What is the greatest common factor? We have the factor 6 and 2. And we have the factor 6 and 5. Six times 2? No, not yet. Yes, Jacob. Yes. Thank you, Ariel. Yes, the common factor, the name common factor needs to be common. And the greatest, you need to find the greatest one, the largest number that's common. Yes, it's 6. 6 is going to be the greatest common factor. Now let's check the variables. The greatest common factor of the variables is going to be the variable with the lowest exponent. If this is 3 and this is 2, the greatest common factor is x squared. It's the one with the lowest exponent. So right now here, 6x squared. That is the greatest common factor. 6x squared is the greatest common factor of this polynomial. Now, I know that the procedure says, look here, step number 2, write each term as the product of the greatest common factor and another factor. And we will write each term. Let's find the other term that you have to represent here. We need 2 terms, right? 2 terms. To have 12x cubed, we have to multiply 6x squared by what? Well, we need 12. We need to multiply 6. We need to multiply 6 by 2, right? To have 12. And we also have x cubed. And we need to multiply x squared by x to find x cubed. Correct? This is the first term. The second term, we have 30. To find the next term here, we have to multiply 6 by something to find 30. So it's going to be 6 by 5 to have 30. And we have to multiply x squared by something to have x squared. It's going to be just 1, right? Just 1. Let's say times 1. X squared times 1 is x squared. We don't need to represent this actually. See? The terms here of the second, of the polynomial inside the parentheses are going to be 2x and positive 5 plus 5. The answer of the question is this whole thing here. 6x squared times 2x plus 5. This is going to be the answer. Any questions? To make sure you found the right answer, you can always apply the distributive property and check if you're going to have the same polynomial as the original one. We can do this real quick here. You can do this in your head, in your mind, if after you get some practice. But let's just work this out on the screen so you can see. But then again, you can do this in your mind, right? 6x squared times 2x is going to be 12x cubed. Yes, 12x cubed, that's right. Plus 6x squared times 5, 30x squared. That's right, that's right. What do you think? Is this hard, easy, or you need some more explanation? Or maybe when we practice, it's going to be easier to understand. Any feedback? Anything that you want to ask, or you want to say about factoring out the greatest common factor? Anything at all? Do you want me to work the second example, which is a little bit harder? Because the second example have 3. Thank you, it will. Yes, but I think after you practice, it's better to understand. Do you want me to work the second example? It's a bit harder because I have 3 terms. Have 3 terms. Have 2 variables each term, and yes, it's just a little bit harder because you have to work a little bit more. We will see on the quiz examples like that at the very end, and we will be able to work together. Yeah, the second one. I will work real quick the second one because we will find examples like that on the quiz. You can work several examples, I think 3 or 4 examples like that. Right now, Don't be scared if you find this too hard or difficult. We will start slowly. On the quiz, we don't have, at the very beginning of the quiz, we don't have that many terms, we don't have that many variables, just some simpler cases. Minus 3CD. Okay, this is letter B. The first thing to find out is the common factor of the coefficients of the numbers. Let's work this out here. And we have 12, right? We have negative 30, and we have negative 3. 12 is 3 times 4. 30 is 3 times negative 10. And negative 3 is 3 times negative 1. Right? Can you see that the common factor is going to be 3? Is the factor that you're going to find in each coefficient is 3. Okay? Now check the variables. C squared, C cubed, and C, exponent 1. You will represent here the lowest exponent, C. Now the variable D, D cubed, D squared, and D exponent 1. So represent here D exponent 1. Now we need 1, 2, 3 terms to multiply and find their original ones. 3CD times what? Times 4. To have C squared, we need to have a C here. To have D cubed, we need to have D squared. Okay, so the first one is going to be 3CD times 4CD squared. Next one, we need negative 10. And we have C cubed, so we need C squared. And we have D squared, we need AD. And the last one here, 3CD, to have negative 3CD, just need negative 1, and that's it. All right, that's the answer. That's the right answer. Check this out. Don't be scared if this is too long, too many terms, too many variables. Okay, we will work, we will practice. Okay, this is a bit harder. No, not the quiz yet. This is just a few examples. We will work on the quiz. Actually, let's move. And yeah, let's move and work on the quiz now. And practice. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, we need practice. We need practice to understand. And after you work a few questions from the quiz, I think you will be fine. You will be able to answer all the hard questions. The explanation, the detailed explanation is here on the slides if you need. Check the weights of the bears, 60, and then the bunny is going to be 10. And we know that 60 plus 10 is 70. If we add the fox equals 90. And the right answer is going to be 20 kilograms, the weight of the fox. Yeah, Kalia, you worked it before on the Tiger Time, right? You have the answers from Tiger Time, no problem. Moving to the quiz. Check this out. On our quiz today, I'm asking you to factor out the greatest common factor. And let's check the first answer here for letter A. We start with the coefficients, with the numbers, and we have 3 and 12. 3 is 3 times 1, 12 is 3 times 4. I can see that the greatest common factor is 3. What about the variables? We have the variable x, but we don't have any variables on the second term. So we can write down here x plus 4, and this is going to be the right answer. Okay? Very easy. The first questions I think are not difficult. A, B, C, all the way to H. It's kind of the same thing. You just have two terms and one variable. On questions I, J, K, and L, you're going to have two terms and two variables. It's just a bit harder. On questions M, N, O, and P, you have three terms and two variables.